Hello students, this is the last part of your chapter number 3. Here is the topic Major Landforms. The landscape is being continuously worn away by two processes, weathering and erosions. Saigi lairiba akoigi land gi structure sibu saigi process ani weathering amadi erosion hairiba process ani sina lepa leitana worn away that means damage. Kaya tarani ko ngasai lairiba akoigi land gi structure ngasai landscape sibu weathering amadi erosion hairiba process ani sina lepa leitana continuously damage the way happening ko adoi tadi hoji weathering and erosion habasi kaino mayam yengsi ko. Weathering is the breaking up of the rocks of the earth's surface. Saigi earth ki surface sidai sida lairiba adugumba makalgi rocks mayam jingsibu thugaiba rocks mayam jingsibu kaiba gi process sibu weathering ka wiko ayamuka halake weathering habasina karamba makalgi process no haiba matamda aikoigi earth ki surface sidai sida lairiba nung mayam jingsibu kaitharakba gi process tubuna weathering haidana ka wiko. And then next, erosion. Erosion is the wearing away of the landscape by different agents like water, wind, and ice. Erosion haibasina ngasai different agents akoigi water, wind, and ice. Makoisina ngasai landscape sibu wash out natraga erode toba wearing away haibadi ngasai wash out chamdokiba natraga ngasai erosion thokiba, that means erode tokiba kaitharakpa ko adugi ngasai lairiba akoi land gi structure sibu ngasai different agents like water, wind, and ice makoisina ngasai wearing away wash out tokibagi process sibuna erosion haidana kawi ko. I hope you all understood what is weathering and erosions. Ayam ko halake weathering haibasina earth ki surface sida lairiba nung mayam jingsibu kaitharakpagi process sibuna weathering haidana kawi ko. And then erosion haibasina ngasai different agents like water, wind, and ice makoisina land gi scape ngasai land gi structure sibu wash out natraga erode tokibagi process tubuna erosion haidana kawi ko. I hope you all understood what is weathering and what is erosions. Now the eroded material is carried away or transported by water, wind, etc. and eventually deposit. Ngasai eroded material ngasai wearing away tokriba kana water, wind, amadi ice na ngasai wearing away tokhiba adugumba material mayam jingse kaidoba mafam amadagi mafam amada transport tawrakadoini ngasai agents water, wind, and ice makhoisina transport tawraga particular jaga amada amuk deposit tawdoineba ko. And this process of erosion and depositions create different landforms on the surface of the earth. Aduna ngasai masigi erosion gi process amadi ngasai deposition tawgiba saigi jaga amadagi erosion tawraga jaga amada amuk deposit tawkiba masigi process sina akoi earth ki surface sidai sida lairiba makal makha kaya marungi lairiba adugumba landforms mayam jingse sigi process sina aina tawraga semgi bani haibani ko sidai sida harise. Aduna different landforms haibasida plain, valley, hill, mountain sigumba makal makha kaya marungi landforms, different types of landforms kaya marum mama laire. Aduna sigumba different types of landforms mayam jingse ngasai the process of erosion and deposition masigi sina semgi bani haibani sidai sida haris. I hope you all understood up to this. Then come to your next subtopic, walk of a river. River na tawriba mathau river na ngasai landforms kaya marum ama form tawba sidai sida river na kadai dagi kadai fauba mahakna low river roll adudagi river na tawriba ngasai mahaki mathau adugi maramdani hoji akoina discussion tawdoise. Aduna you have to be listen very carefully. Walk of a river. The running water in the river erodes the landscape. Saigi river sidai sida cheliba river da lairiba ising haibasida bu stable oiba nate river da lairiba ising haibase running water ni ko. Aduna ngasai river da laiba adugumba running water sinazu lairiba ngasai land gi structure je mahakna su erodes tawi habani ko, wash away tawi habani. When the river tumbles at steep angle over very hard rocks or down at steep valley side, it forms a waterfall. Ngasai lairiba river sina tumbles haibadi tarakpa haibani ko aduna ngasai turendagi chendharaiba isingsina ngasai nunggumba akhoi akanba surface amada yamna awangba jaga amadagi ngasai nunggumba da tarakpa matam adu natraga ngasai nunggumba natraga su steep valley side ngasai awangba valley gi side amada tarakpa matamda waterfall haibase form tawi haibani ko ayamuka halake ngasai gi chendharaiba river sina awangba angle dagi nunggumba da tarakpa natraga ngasai gi valley gi side sigumba da tarakpa matamda waterfall haidana form tawgani haibani ko sidai sida hairise aduna makhagi waterfall gi picture sida akoina yengba matamda ngasai gi sidai sida leisi yangu aduna ngasai gi river sina awangba angle dagi karigumba ngasai gi magi sidai sida chendharakpa matamdani waterfall haidana form tawduise ko aduna ngasai gi yamna wangna taraba matamdani ko waterfall haidana form tawduise aduna ngasai gi awangba angle dudagi mahangna chendharakpa matamda ngasai gi hard rock sigumadagi ngasai gi valley side sigumba sidai sida chendharakpa matamda waterfall haidana form tawgani haibani sidai sida haris. Then as the river enters the plains, it twists and turns, forming large bends known as meanders. Ngasai river sina plain da lakpa matamda mahakna twists and turns, forming large bends. Ngasai river sina lakpa matamda ngasai twists and turns leiraga thekoi nakoi mahakna kolaga chelakani haibani aduga ngasai achau bending meanders haidana yam chau na kolaga meanders ko ba dugum structure ama mahakna form tawe haibani ko aduna nakoi isigi picture sida uriba ko features made by a river in a floodplain hariba masigi figure sida koina yengba matamda meander haidana yauriduni ko aduna sidai sida ngasai gi river sina plain area da lakpa matamda ma straight oina laoi haibani ko ngasai gi twists and turns thekoina koi oina kolaga chelakani aduga ngasai gi kolaga chelakpa matamdu dai large bend chauna kolaga meanders haibase mahakna form tawgani haibani sidai sida haris. And due to continuous erosions and depositions along the sides of the meanders, the ends of the meander loops come closer and closer. In due course of time, the meander loop cuts off from the river and forms a cut-off lake, also called an oxbow lake. Aduna ngasai river sina chendharakpa matam sidai sida mahakna erosion and deposition kaya marum ama thokaniba kadaida ngasai gi meander gi nakan jingsida aduga ngasai gi leiriba adugumba meander gi loishalakpa mayam jingse ngasai gi erosion and deposition lakpasina sum khujelakani haibani ko aduga ngasai gi magi ngasai gi erosion and deposition je yam toina thokchalakpasina ngasai gi meander gi loishalakpagi side jingse sum khujelakpadagi di kaidaurakadagi haiba matamda ngasai gi leiriba masigi meander loop se river sidagi totally cut tawgrani aduga cut off lake natraga oxbow lake haidana form tawgini haibani ko sidai sida hairise aduna ayamuka halake mayam munna yengo ko aduna ngasai gi sidai sida leiriba masigi meander mayam jing sida erosion and deposition na putharakpa adugumba ngasai gi amorakai leiriba mayam jing erosion tawraba matungda ngasai gi river sina erosion thohalaba matungda mahakna putharakpa jingse ngasai gi meander gi loisalakpa siguma sidai sida deposit sum tawgadoine aduna masigi side sidai sida sum deposit tawsalakpadagi di ngasigi meander gi loisalakpa mayam je sum phunjangrani sumaina sum phunjangraba matungda sumaina sum phunjangrani aduga ngasai gi river je somdo ina form tawgrani aduga sigi meander loop se sumaina sum phunjalakpasina sigi meander loop se river sidagi totally cut tawgrani river sina somda nauna form tawraga chengrani aduga somda cut tawgraga lemhoriba masigi jaga se river sidagi totally cut tawgrakanda oxbow lake ngasai gi cut off lake natraga oxbow lake aidana somda leiribase sumaina form tawgini haibani ko sidai sida hairise. I hope you all understood what is meanders and what is oxbow lake. I am muka halake sigi matek se ko yam important oiba area ne duna mayam munna taro. river sina plain da lakpa matamda straight oina laoi thekoi na koi tawraga chelakani aduna ngasai gi mahakna thekoi lak koi tawraga chelakpa matam sidai sida chauna konba ngasai gi large bends oina mahakna ngasai gi kola ga chelakpa sina meander side na form tawrani ko meander na koi gi sigi figure sida leire aduga ngasai gi river sina chelakpa matamda erosion thogla ani aduna ngasai gi erosion thogla ga mahakna putharakpa mayam jingse ngasai gi meander sigi nakan jingsidai sida mahakna amuk deposit tawrakani habani ko aduna ngasai gi turen jina chendharakpa matamda ngasai gi erosion thoglakpa pot mayam jinglo mahakna meander gi nakan jingsida sum deposition tawrakpagi changje sum hengalakpadagi di meander gi ngasai gi mahakki loisalakpa mayam jingse sum khujalakani habani ko aduna ngasai gi erosion and deposition jina meander gi side jingje sum khujalakpadagi di saigi meander loop meander gi leiriba ngasai gi mahaki large bends mayam jingse river sidagi totally cut tawgrani aduga cut tawgraga river sina atopa side amada chengrani aduga ngasai gi meander gi side mayam jingse meander loop mayam jingse river dagi totally cut tawgraga ngasai gi cut off lake haibadi oxbow lake haibase form tawgini haibani ko sidai sida harise. I hope you all understood up to this. Then next, at times the river overflows its banks. Saigi river sina mahaki banks river mapan jing sida yam tatana overflow tawe habni ko, and this leads to the flooding of the neighboring areas. Aduna nga saigi river sina yam tatana mahaki river mapan jing sida overflow torok pasina nga saigi mahaki river sigi neighboring areas mayam jing sida yam tatana flooding tawe hab sing yam toina thumme habni ko. As it floods, it deposits layers of fine soil and other materials called sediments along its banks. Aduna ngasai gi river sina flooding thoingai mahakna ngasai gi leiriba adugumba river gi mapan jing sida koigi fine soils aduga ngasai gi atopa material kaya marum koigi sediment harise ko aduna sigoma makal gi sediment kaya marum ama river gi bank jing sida yam tattana flood tawi aduna ngasai gi mahakna flood torok pasina atsigumba sediment mayam jing se river gi mapan jing sida yam tattana deposit tawrame habani ko aduna ngasai gi masigi deposition sina kari form tawge haiba matamda flat fertile floodplain koigi picture sida yauriba floodplain haidana yaurisi mayam yenguko sida aduna ngasai gi flooding torok pasina river gi bank sida yam tattana deposit tawi aduna masigi deposit torok pasina this leads to the formation of a flat fertile floodplain. Ngasai gi flat oina fertile oiraba adugumba floodplain haibise sumaina form tawi haibani sida haris, and the raised banks are called leaps. Aduna ngasai gi turen cheliba mapadu dagi kitang wanghatlaga leiriba adugumba turen mapandu buna leaps haidana kawi ko aduga ngasai gi bank su dagi wangmada ngasai gi flooding tawsangraga sediments kaya marum ama deposit tawgrakandana ngasai gi flat fertile floodplain haniba jaga se form tawgrani aduga ngasai gi river bank tu dagi kitang wanghatlaga leiriba aduga ma jaga do buna leaps haidana kawi ko. And as the river approaches the sea, the speed of the flowing water decrease. Aduga ngasai gi turen sina samudra yaurakpadagi di ngasai gi mahaki ising chenbagi speed che tamna sum handharakani haibani ko. And then come to your next page. Now look here. And river begins to break off into a number of streams called distributaries. Aduna ngasai gi river sina samudra gi area yaurakpadagi di ngasai gi mahaki river chenbagi speed che tamna sum handharani, and then the river begins to break off into a number of streams called distributaries. Aduga ngasai gi river sina samudra gi area yaurakpadagi di mahaki speed che handharani aduga ngasai gi turen se distributaries haina makhal makha kaya marum gi stream sumaina river se ngasai gi main river du dagi ngasai gi distributaries haidana number of stream kaya marum thokna chengrani haibani ko sidai sida harise, and the river becomes so slow that it begins to deposit its lot. Aduna ngasai gi river sina mahaki speed che yam tina handharani haiba ngasai river sina ihan hana mahakna chelaiba magi ngasai speed che sidagi mahaki leiriba speed che yariba makai decrease tawrani ko mai ngasai speed che totally slow oirani aduga ngasai river sina putharaiba adugumba ngasai magi ngasai yauriba sediments adugumba mayam jingje tamna sum deposit tawba haurani haibani ko sidai sida harise and its distributary forms its own mouth ngasai river du dagi main river du dagi form tawliba adugumba distributaries kaya marum sina makoi gi lairiba adugumba distributary kaya marum sidagi mouth haidana form tawrani haibani ko and the collection of sediments from all the mouths forms a delta aduna ngasai distributary mayam jingchina form tawgriba adugumba mouth se sidai sida ngasai distributary mayam sidai sida yauraga laiba adugumba sediments kaya marum sina ngasai makoi gi mouth jing sidagi di delta haidana form tawgrani habani ko sida harise aduna ngasai river sina chelakpa matamda sediments kaya marum mama yauraga lai aduna ngasai samudra gi mapa se yorakpadagi di river sina ngasai mahaki speed se handharani and then speed handharakpada natana ngasai main river sidagi distributary sadana makal maka kaya marum gi stream kaya marum mama khaidoga lairani and after that ngasai river sina mahaki speed se handharakpadagi di ngasai mongonda yauriba adugumba sediments mayam jingma deposit tawba haurani habani and then ngasai distributaries mayam jingchina makoi gi mouth haidana masa gi oijaba mouth form tawba haurani and after that ngasai distributary mayam jingchida yauraga laiba adugumba sediments mayam jingchina ngasai makoi gi distributary mayam jingchi gi mouth sidai sida delta haidana form tawrani habani sidai sida hairisi aduna ngasoi gi aduna nakoi gi delta gi picture sidai sida laire aduna masi gi picture sidai sida main river dagi distributary kaya marum mama form tawraga lairani aduga masi gi distributary mayam jingchina samudra da taramdai gi ngasai gi mahaki mouth jingsidani adugumba sediments mayam jingchina mouth jingsidai sida kari semgadage haiba matamda delta haidana form tawi haibani sidai sida hairisi I hope you all understood up to this. Then come to your next subtopic, work of sea waves. Sina ngasai sea wave sina kari mathau tawge sea wave ki mahakna tawriba mathau se karino aduga ngasai sea wave sina landscape sidai sida kari thohange haibaduni hujik sidai sida konna discussion tawdoise aduna mayam munna taro. Work of sea waves. The erosion and depositions of the sea wave gives rise to coastal landforms. Sagi sea wave sina thohaliba adugumba erosion and deposition masi sina sagi coastal landforms. Coastal area da lairiba adugumba land gi structures mayam jingse sea wave na thohaliba adugumba erosion and deposition masi sina coastal area da lairiba adugumba makal maka kaya marungi landforms jingse form tawi habani sidai sida harise. And sea waves continuously strike at the rocks. Sagi sea waves singsina yam tattana rock samudra mapanda lairiba adugumba nung jingsidai sida lepa laitana adum yai habani. And ngasai sea waves sina adugumba nung jingsidai sida lepa laitana continuously strike torakpadagi di ngasai nung jingsigi marakta cracks kaya marum mama thoglani and over time they become larger and wider. Ngasai nung jingsigi marakta laiba crack jingse matamgi matungina sum chawthorakpa amadi sum pakthorakpa sum helakani habani and thus hollow like caves are formed on the rocks. They are called sea caves. Aduna ngasai adugumba sea waves sina nung sidai sida sum tattana lepa laitana continuously sum strike torakpadagi di crack tholani madugi crack se matamgi matungina larger amadi wider sum oithorani and after that ngasai gi nung sidai sida hollow oiba koi gi caves manba adugumba kaya marum mama nung sidai sida thoglani habani ko adubuna kari kauge sea caves haidana kaurani. As these cavities becomes bigger and bigger, only the roof of the caves remain, thus forming sea arc. Aduna ngasai gi cave sina ngasai gi cave oina nung sidai sida ngasai gi sea wave sina furakpa matamda sea caves haidana sum horaga sum lakadoini aduna ngasai leiriba adugi nung sidaisida ahoba ngasai cavities oiriba masigi area se sum chauthorani aduga sum chauthorapasina ngasai mahaki roof si khaktang da oina laihorani haibani ko aduga ngasai cave si gi roof si khaktang oina laihorani and after that sea arc haibase amuk form tarokani haibani sidaisida hairisi. Further, erosion breaks the roof and only walls are left. Now look here. Ngasai samudragi ngasai lairiba adugumba nungjing sidaisida ngasai samudragi waves sina sum furakpasina sea caves oina form tawrani aduna ngasai fubagi changse sum helakpadigidi ngasai adugumba sea caves se sum kai sum kengraga ngasai mathaki roof si khaktang da oina ngai horani ngasai sea caves si gi mahaki roof si khaktang neba laihodoi aduna ngasai loina ma kaithagraga mathaki roof si khaktang da oina laihoba matamda kari haira dagi haiba matamda sea arc haidana amu form tawrani and further erosion breaks the roof and only walls are left ngasai arc si dai sida lepa leitana erosion sum tholakpadagidi ngasai wall khaktang oina ngai horani and these wall like features are called stakes ngasai loina ma kaithagraba matungda wall gi structure manba adugumba features tu khaktang oina laihorani madugi wall manba adugumba features tu buna stakes haidana kaurani haibani and then the steep rocky coast rising almost vertically above sea water is called a sea cliff. Saigi lairiba seashore gi structure seashore gi landscape se sumai tawraga lairakkadoini sidaisida ngasai gi samudra gi ising sea wave sina sumfuba sina sea gi jaga mayam je sum kengradoini sumaina sum kelaga sum lakpadagi di last sea gi area si khaktang oina laihogadoiba kamaina laihorani sea gi area si khaktang oina laihorani aduga sea gi area si khaktang lairaga swaidana sea gi surface sumaina lairani aduna sumaina laihoba matam sida kari form tawgadage haiba matamda sea cliff haidana form tawrakani haibani sidaisida hairisi aduna ngasai gi lairiba seashore gi landscape sina sumaina laihoraga sea surface na sumaina laigadoini aduna masigi landscape se sumaina form tawba matamda masigi steep rock coast saigi awangba adugumba nungna form tawba samudragi coast ni aduna sigi jaga sibuna sumaina form tawrakpasibuna sea cliff haidana haigani haibani sidaisida hairis. Now look here, the steep rocky coast rising almost vertically above sea water is called a sea cliff. Hojik aina yekribaduda sea gi surface tu dagi chap yungna yam wangna ngasai gi steep oiba rocky coast ama adumaina form tawrakani haibani ko madugi steep rocky coast ngasai gi sea surface tu dagi yam wangna yamna steep oiba adugumba rocky coast ama lairakpadubuna kari kaurani haiba matamda sea cliff haidana kaugani haibani ko sidaisida hairise aduna sidaisida mayam yengo aduna ngasai gi lairiba masigi rocky area sida samudragi isingna sum fujanba matam sida sigi area se sum sumaina horakkadoini ko masigi horakpasibuna sea cave haidana kaurani and ngasai gi sea cave sidaisida samudragi ising surface ina sum fujalakpadagidi ngasai gi mahaki lairiba jaga mayam jing ngasai gi hole je sum lauthorakkadoini masi lauthorakpadagidi kari thoglani haiba matamda masigi sea arc haibase form tawgrani and then masigi sea arc se form tawrani sea arc se form tawra matungda erosion je lepa leitana sum tholakkadoini aduna masigi mathakki thangba area mayam se roof se sum kaithara ani masigi roof se sum kaitharakpadagidi si mayaida sumaina ani thoktokhrani nakanda sidaisida stake aidana lairi sumaina wall manba sigi area je sum kaithagibadagidi nakan sumaina ani thoktokhrani masi ani thokibadagidi somda lairiba wall manba structure stake haibase sumaina form tawkhini haibani sidaisida hais and after that saigi lairiba seashore gi landscape sina sumaina lairambadagi sea wave sina sum purak padagi di sigi land se sigi land surface se ngasai gi stake sumaina sum mache mache sum maina sigi stake sumaina form tarok kadoi masi form tarok pasida ihana na sumaina lairam badagi sigi wave sina sum tharak matam na swai che sum ken gi doini sumaina sum ken laga sea caps kaina sum form tarok kadoi masi sumaina sum ken gi badagi di saigi mathaki jingje totally ken graga land se sumaina khatang leho gadoi ba see the sea waves that means like this maina lorga sida sea surface lakadoi ba aduna ngasai sea surface sidagi yamna steep oiba saigi rocky coast ama sumaina form tawgi basibuna kari coverni haiba matamda sea cliff. I hope you all understood up to this. Then next, the sea waves deposit sediments along the shores forming beach. Aduna ngasai sea waves sina puraga lakpa adugumba sediments kaya marum sina ngasai seashore sidai sida sum tattana deposit sum tawsalakani madumaina deposit sum tawsalakpadagi di kari form tawradage haiba matamda beaches haibase form tawgani haibani sidai sida hairis. I hope you all understood up to this. Then come to your next subtopic, work of ice. Saigi ice na tawriba matau. Ice na landforms kaya marum mama sembada kadai dagi kadai fauba mateng pangge haibduni sida kuna discussion tawduse aduna mayamuna taro. Work of ice. Glaciers are rivers of ice which do erode the landscape by bulldozing soil and stones to expose the solid rock below. Glacier haibasi kaino river of ice. Ice ki river ni ko aduna mahaksu saigi lairiba landscape lay land gi structure mayam jingsibu erosion thohan bada yam chawna mateng pangba adugumba rivers of ice ni aduna mahakna ngasai gi erosion si kamaina thoke haiba matamda bulldozing soils and stones to expose the solid rock below. Saigi makha da laiba adugumba solid oiraba rock mayam jingse tholak triba fauba saigi mathak da lairiba adugumba soil amadi stones kayang marum sibu bulldozing mahakna ngasai chenthagi ba thugai gi bada yam chawna mateng pangba adugumba river of ice neba glacier rise ayamuka halake ko. Glacier haibasi kaino river of ice. Ice ki river ni glacier rise mahakna su ngasai gi ground da lairiba adugumba solid rock se masi se tholakpa makhai mathakta lairiba soil amadi stones landscape da lairiba soil amadi stones kayang marum sibu erosion tawhanba adugumba makhal gi rivers of ice ni haibani glacier sisu. And glaciers carve out deep hollows there. Saigi mahakna soil amadi stones mayam jingjibu bulldozing tawgraga solid rock makhada lairiba adugumba solid rock se expose tawba makai soil amadi stones je mahakna bulldozing tawgrabanina ahoba kaya marum ama tawthuoga thamme haibani. And as the ice melts they get filled up with water and become beautiful lakes in the mountains. Aduna ngasai mahakna achau chawba holo kaya marum ama tawthuoga thamgibaduna ngasai ice ina sauduoba matungda ngasai mountain sidai sida achau chauba fajaraba lakes kaya marum amuk mahakna form tawi haibani sidai sida haris. And the material carried by the glaciers such as rock big and small, sand and silt gets deposited. Aduna ngasai glacier sina puthorakpa adugumba material such as nung achauba macha adudagi di sand adudagi di silt sigumba kaya marum si amuk mahakna deposit tawgani haibani. And these deposits form glacial moraines. Aduna ngasai mahakna putharaiba adugumba deposits kaya marum sina amuk glacial moraines haibasi amuk form tawgani haibani sidai sida haris. I hope you all understood up to this. Then come to your next page. I think this is your last subtopic. Work of wind. Wind na tawriba mathaw ngasai different types of landforms kaya marum se form tawba matamda wind na kadai dagi kadai fawba mateng pangge haibaduni sidai sida haris. An active agent of erosion and depositions in the desert is wind. Ngasai desert region da yamna active oiba agent ngasai erosion amadi deposition thohanbada yam active oiba agent si desert region da di wind ne haibani ko sida harise. And in deserts, you can see rocks in the shape of a mushrooms, commonly called mushrooms rock. Duna desert tadi akoina yam toina koigi mushroom gi shape manba adugumba nung kaya marum ama ui habani ko adugumba nung dubu desert ta leiba adugumba mushroom manba mushroom gi shape ta leiba adugumba nung dubu mushroom rock saidana kawi ko. And wind erodes the lower sections of the rock more than the upper part. Saigi desert ta leiba nung mayam jingse anamana mushroom shape loina mang malese kari maram ginu haiba matamda saigi wind jingjina nung jingjigi lower section mayam jingse loina mang erode taukhini haibani ngasai mahaki upper part gi na lower section part se sigi part sina erosion tawgi chang se hele haibani. And therefore such rock have narrower base and wider tops. Aduna ngasai gi lower part si dai sida erode tawgi chang sina wangabani na ngasai gi base ki area jingsina narrow oirani aduga top ki area jingsina wider oigani adunani aduguma nung mayam jingse anamana mushroom shape loina mang malis. And when the wind blows, it lifts and transports sand from one place to another. Aduna ngasai gi nungsisina sitpa matamda ngasai gi lairiba aduguma sand mayam jingse mafam amadagi mafam amada putok pusin transport tawi haibani ko. And when it stops blowing, the sand falls and get deposited in low hill-like structures. These are called sand dunes. Duna ngasai gi wind na puraga laiba aduguma sand mayam jingsina nungsisitpa se hek left kiba matamda particular area amada adugumba sand mayam jingse punna deposit tawrani aduga ngasai gi ching macha manba adugumba structure amamamda form tawraga laigani habani adugumba ching macha manba structure dubuna kari kaure sand dunes haidana kawi habani sidai sida haris. And when the grains of sand are very fine and light, the wind can carry it over very long distance. Aduna ngasai gi adugumba sen mayam jingsina magi ngasai weight che amukasu yamna sen jingje yamna kuppa adudagi di mahaki ngasai weight china yamna yangagadi ngasai sen dunes oina ngasai mahakna form tawraba matungda adugumba sen dunes tudagi sen dunes form tawriba adugumba sediments mayam jingsidagi hen amuk light oiba amadi yamna very fine oiba sen mayam jingsidi wind jingsina amuk yamna long distance jaga yam san sana amuk mahakna puraga amuk chatle haibani ko sida haise. And when such sand is deposited in large areas, it is called loess. Saigi adugumba yamna very fine oiba yamna light oiba adugumba sands mayam jingsina wind jingsina yam sang na puraga amuk chatkani aduga mahakti yamna achouba area mayam jingda deposit tawrakani habani ko. Aduna adugumba fine amadi light oiba sand mayam jingsina yamna achouba area da punna deposit tawrakpa matamdana loess haibase amuk semakani habani sidai sida haris. Large deposits of loess is found in China. Aduna sigumba loess ki achouba deposit sigumba large deposit of loess se karamba jaga dana hena fangi haba matamda China dana hena fangani habani ko sida harise. That means loess haibase China dana hena fangi habani sigi matek sidai sida haris. Aduna ngasai gi lairiba desert ta lairiba nung mayam jingse desert ta setpa nungsit jingsina magi ngasai gi base oiba area mayam jingsidana hena furani aduga ngasai gi top oiba area mayam jingsidana fubagi changse handagadoini aduna ngasai gi makoi gi base area mayam jingsina narrower oirani aduga top area jingsina wider oiraga mushroom shape malaga laigadoini aduna aduga manungdubu mushroom rock saidana kaurani. And then ngasai gi adugumba lairiba ngasai gi nung makub adugumba sen mayam jingse desert sida silakpa adugumba nungsits mayam jingsina particular area amadagi puraga atopa jaga amada makoina amuk deposit tawdoini. Aduna ngasai gi adugumba sen mayam jingsina jaga amadagi winna adugumba sen mayam jingse jaga amadagi puraga laaga jaga amada ngasai gi nungsit sitpa lepkraba matungda jaga amada punna deposit tawraga ngasai gi ching macha manba adugumba structure amada oina deposit tawraga laigadoini. Aduna adugumba ꯉꯁꯥꯏꯒꯤ ꯁꯦꯟ ꯃꯌꯥꯝꯁꯤꯡꯁꯤꯅ ꯄꯨꯂꯞ ꯄꯨꯟꯅ ꯗꯤꯄꯣꯖꯤꯠ ꯇꯧꯔꯒ ꯆꯤꯡ ꯃꯆꯥ ꯃꯥꯟꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯨꯝꯕ ꯁ꯭ꯇ꯭ꯔꯛꯆꯔꯗꯨꯕꯨ ꯁꯦꯟ ꯗ꯭ꯌꯨꯟꯁ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯅ ꯀꯧꯔꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯉꯁꯥꯏꯒꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯨꯝꯕ ꯁꯦꯟꯁꯤꯡꯁꯤꯅ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯐꯥꯏꯟ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯕ ꯑꯃꯗꯤ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯂꯥꯏꯠ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯕ ꯃꯇꯝꯗ ꯋꯤꯟꯁꯤꯅ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯑꯁꯥꯡꯕ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯂꯣꯡ ꯗꯤꯁꯇꯦꯟꯁ ꯃꯍꯥꯛꯅ ꯄꯨꯔꯒ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯆꯠꯂꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯂꯣꯡ ꯗꯤꯁꯇꯦꯟꯁ ꯃꯍꯥꯛꯅ ꯄꯨꯔꯒ ꯆꯠꯂꯒ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯑꯦꯔꯤꯌꯥ ꯑꯃꯗ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯗꯤꯄꯣꯖꯤꯠ ꯇꯧꯒꯅꯤ ꯃꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯁꯦꯟ ꯃꯌꯥꯝꯁꯤꯡꯗꯨꯅ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯐꯥꯏꯟ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯒ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯂꯥꯏꯠ ꯑꯣꯏꯔga ꯄꯨꯟꯅ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯑꯦꯔꯤꯌꯥ ꯑꯃꯗ ꯄꯨꯟꯅ ꯗꯤꯄꯣꯖꯤꯠ ꯇꯧꯔꯒ ꯂꯩꯔꯛꯄ ꯃꯇꯝꯗꯅ ꯂꯣꯏꯁ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯅ ꯀꯧꯒꯅꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯂꯣꯏꯁꯁꯦ ꯀꯔꯝꯕ ꯖꯒꯥꯗꯅ ꯍꯦꯟꯅ ꯐꯪꯒꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯕ ꯃꯇꯝꯗ ꯆꯥꯏꯅꯥꯗꯅ ꯍꯦꯟꯅ ꯐꯪꯉꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯅꯤ ꯁꯤꯗꯩꯁꯤꯗ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯤꯁꯦ. So student, with this we have completed your chapter number 3. I hope you all understood what we have learned or what we have explained so far. Your remaining chapters will explain in upcoming videos.